rolling. We got a special guest. He traveled all the way across the bridge and whatever from Mayfield Heights. He's going to do some comedy for us. Please give a nice warm welcome to Mr. Brad Laidman.
Does anybody want like another Ray song? Because I'm not going to be as good as him. So what's the deal, man? Is it like it's 15 minutes of comedy or 3 songs?
No. It's 15 minutes total.
Oh, okay, so I can't do like 3 Grateful Dead jams for like an hour and a half. It's just 15 minutes.
Usually comedians do like 5 minutes.
Well, no, I'm just saying if I got my guitar out and did 3 Grateful Dead songs for the next 6 hours, that's not legal, right?
No, I would.
Cool. All right, I'm sorry for even suggesting that. I'm always trying to pull something. Ray is awesome. Ray's going to be a hard act to follow. I'm going to be a hard act to follow because I'm going to take Ray's microphones after I leave. That's actually a Mitch Hedberg joke that I stole. I saw Mitch Hedberg in 1999. Does anybody know who Mitch Hedberg is? Anybody? All right, good. I can't steal his material for the rest of my act then. No, I saw Mitch Hedberg in 1999 in San Francisco, and he totally bombed. And at one point, when he bombed, people would just keep buying him drinks. And he was too nice of a guy to say no. He was just a really nice guy. He was too nice to say no, and he'd get drunk because he wanted to please his fan. And they were just looking at him like they had no idea what was going on. And his wife had to come up on stage and take beer out of his hand. And then she started yelling at him like, "Sell the CD, man, sell the CD." And like Mitch wasn't paying attention to her, and she would pitch the CD. And then at one point Mitch just goes, "Yo, man, ain't none of these motherfuckers gonna buy my CD. Raise your hand if you can buy my CD." And like only like me and 2 other people raised their hands, and that CD isn't even released like that anymore. At least I got to buy it. So then I met him in LA in 2000, and I should have just gone up to him and said, "Hey, man, I love you. You're awesome." But I said like, "Hey, I saw you in San Francisco. It's kind of a disaster." And he said, "Yo, man, that's hilarious." I was like, this is the nicest guy ever that I've met in my life. And he smoked with me for like 15 minutes. He's just a fantastic guy. So I was trying to get the vibe of the room. This is a cool club, and like I do live in Mayfield Heights, and Cleveland is kind of like if it wasn't played on the radio on WMMS from 1978 to 1984, they got no idea that it even existed. And like this club is cool. Like people actually know who Joe Strummer is at this place. They actually have heard of the Clash and like the Replacements and bands that I actually listen to and stuff. I like this club. It's cool. And you should tip because I was a bartender for 2 nights once in Los Angeles. It's hard to be a bartender in Los Angeles because everybody in Los Angeles is very pretty and they really want to be an actor or an actress. So I'm not really pretty, and I was working at this place, and I barely knew what I was doing. I just took like a class, and it was like a rave club, and this woman gives me like an introduction, and it's really pitch black, and I'm trying to keep up with these drinks that I barely memorized. I'm doing the best I can. It's completely pitch black, and she says to me, she pulls me back, and she shows me technical difficulty. She shows me 2 $20 bills. One was a big old style $20 bill, and one was an older small style $20 bill. And she says, "You took a counterfeit, can't you tell?" And I'm like, "They're totally different. It's dark. I can't tell. I can barely make a sea breeze, much less a martini." And she took it out of my tips. I was like, that's the last time I'm a bartender. So, my grandfather was like an immigrant. He got a job like in Yellowstone fighting fires. He had nothing. And he worked his ass off, and then he was going to country clubs. And like, I respect manual labor. That's the real work. I don't want to do it, but I respect it. I've spent my entire life reading books to try to avoid it, but I respect it. Actually, I quit a high-paying job to become a teacher. And I was living with my grandfather, and he needed me to help him around the house, and he said, "Here, help me dig this hole." And I had my own money, so he was like, "All right, yeah, I'll help you dig a hole." My grandfather, he was a yeller, and he just said, he watched me dig a hole for about 15 seconds, and he just screamed, and he's like, "Whoever taught you how to dig a hole?" And I'm like, "Nobody. I was the dark kid with the book. I was scared to death of that man. I mean, he was on his deathbed. I was still scared to death. I talked to him every week, and he was just this awesome, fearsome presence who did manual labor until he, he had money, and I was staying with him. And he asked my grandmother to buy him lobster, and they'd raised the price of lobster. This is like Depression era people. They raised the price of lobster like 2 cents a pound, and he refused to buy it. And I'm like, you're 70 and like close to a millionaire. Like, treat yourself. Who are you saving it up for? And he's like old school. He's just like, I'm not paying 72 cents a pound for lobster. I mean, he's willing to eat the lobster for 70 cents. And the best part of that guy's day was going to McDonald's and getting a 45-cent coffee with a senior discount. I mean, if he had lived to see Starbucks, he would have either killed everybody in the building or instantly had a heart attack. I mean, if you had even suggested the concept of a mocha latte to my grandfather, he would have instantly had an embolism. I love that guy. And my other side of my family was kind of like immigrants, but they were kind of more old school and still depressing. Not depressing. Well, it's a depression, so that was depressing. But my grandmother was just a genius con artist, and I sort of am too. So we used to dock our boat at Cedar Point, and back in the day, it was really cheap to go to Cedar Point. I think like a year-long pass was like $100. And I grew up on a boat, and I would hear the Blue Streak like click up. I had trouble sleeping anyway. Click up all night, click, click, click. So, my grandmother was like the ultimate con woman. She was really bright, but she, we were like, all right, we're going into Cedar Point. It's like $2. Like, let us pay for it. My grandma was like, hell no, I'm not paying $2. So my grandmother would just sidle up there and go, hey, I'm just an old woman. I'm not going to go on any of these rides, man. I just want to be with my family. Will you let me in for free? And, yeah, they let her in for free. She was a genius. So I've done pretty much all my hard work to avoid hard work, but I tip people because I just don't want to do hard work. How much more time do I have? I didn't even get to the stuff I wanted to talk about.
You have about 5 minutes.
Oh, I got 10 minutes more. Awesome. Does everybody want to hear 10 minutes more? Anyway, so like if you go to Cleveland, if you go to Cleveland and there's a rock and roll show, if you think you're not hearing Aerosmith, man, dream on. Dream on. You're going to hear Aerosmith. And I was actually in the Netherlands, and the best part of the Netherlands was actually not the red light district, it was the Van Gogh Museum. The Van Gogh Museum was awesome. There was a club there, and they were playing that music that they're obsessed with in Cleveland. They were playing old school, like Bon Jovi, or not, they were playing old school Bon Scott AC/DC at this club, and they were playing like old school Judas Priest live. So I was like, all right, if you're going to play old school Bon Scott, then I can handle that. And a guy from Canada was there, and I don't really think there's ever a reason to play Bon Jovi, but he wanted to hear Runaway, and like, I didn't say it, but I was like, dude, stop giving North America a bad name. That's a Bon Jovi song. I'm trying to be clever. Yeah. Does anybody want to hear me sing You Give Love a Bad Name? I've heard it like a million times and I never want to hear it again. No, this is all like performance art to me. Did anybody know who Andy Kaufman was? Yeah, did anybody see that movie with Andy Kaufman, about Andy Kaufman, Man in the Moon? That REM song, Man in the Moon, is actually about Andy Kaufman. And there's a scene where, I actually met Danny DeVito. I went to see a Les Paul show in New York. And Danny DeVito, he was on Taxi with Andy Kaufman. He plays his manager in the movie. And then this Giamatti, and I've always identified with Giamatti because I'm bald. And so Giamatti's playing Bob Zmuda, and Jim Carrey played Andy Kaufman really well. And at one point in the movie, Danny DeVito says to the guys that are playing Zmuda and Kaufman, you guys are telling a joke that is really only funny to 2 people in the entire world. And then Giamatti as Zmuda goes, yeah, man, but it's really fucking hilarious to us. So, yeah, my whole act is just, it's fun to me. It's fun to me. I'm sorry that you have to be inflicted by it, but it's fun to me. So, anyway, so yeah, I'm tired of hearing those things. Anyway, I'm really into Elvis. Is anybody into Elvis? Not Costello Presley, I like Costello too. Is anybody into Elvis Presley? He was kind of like the first Elvis impersonator. And I was obsessed with Elvis in college. I kind of learned to dance by watching Jailhouse Rock and dancing to Marvin Gaye songs. So I have like every move. Everybody wants, I mean, like there's like 80 million Elvis impersonators in the world, but Andy Kaufman was one of the first. He'd come out in that four-man thing and he'd be like, I am going to do an impression of Joe DiMaggio. Hi, I'm Joe DiMaggio. Thank you very much. And he'd do like 4 or 5 of those, and then he'd go, and I'm going to do the Elvis Presley. And then he'd rip off, and he'd grab a guitar, and he actually could sing, and he actually could play. And he kind of, he would just go out, and like people would be expecting nothing, and then he'd be like, kind of like, hold me close, hold me tight, make me thrill with delight. Let me know where I stand from the start. I want you, I need you, I love you with all my heart. See, man, I promised Ray that I would not sing or play guitar tonight. I guess I got away with it. I apologize. I'm always thinking of ways around the rules. Anybody like Bob Dylan? Anybody know the line, to live outside the law, you must be honest? From Absolutely Sweet Marie? Yeah, I go by that code, and I went to school, and they taught me the reason that they do that is that if you commit a crime, man, you gotta tell the truth. Telling the truth pays off. Is what happens is they get these guys in a room, and they make up lies, and they can't remember all the lies. And so they catch them because they did not remember the lies that they told. But if you tell the truth, you can actually remember everything you said. So you can pretty much just go in there and go, yeah, I just robbed the convenience store. And they'll be like, oh, you must be innocent. He just admitted it. But if you make up a series of lies, you can't remember it. And I was going to Jam, where Ray Jams in C-Bars, and I don't know my way around that place. They have like an exit closed that's cost me about $8,000 in gas. And I'm just looking at my GPS, and I got a horrible GPS. And I'm in front of the Beachland Ballroom, which is, that's the only club I really dig on the east side. And I just drive right through, slowly, I drove right through this stop sign. And I got pulled over by a policeman. And I just pulled my license out, and he's like, you rolled through this stop sign. I was like, yeah, you're absolutely right, I'm sorry, I got this GPS issue. And then he just said, oh, well, thanks for being honest. And like 30 seconds later, he comes back and he's like, thanks for being honest. The club you're looking for is over there on the left. That guy on the bike just flipped me off, and we are not allowed to pursue him. And I'm on my way. It's just, Bob Dylan was right. To live outside the law, you must be honest. Just tell the truth, be honest. And, it's like, there are things that upset me about police, but, he was cool. And to me, it's like, you're either cool or you ain't. I mean, people say that that's very binary. They tell me that, they say, like, you always think you're right. And I'm like, dude, everybody always thinks they're right. I mean, are there arguments where people don't think they're right? Because I don't play the devil's advocate. I used to debate back in the day, and I won because there was trophies. I mean, if there's a trophy and you're going to pay me, then I'll debate you. But if I talk to you, I just tell you my opinion, and if I'm wrong, I admit it. They're like, you always think you're right. And I'm like, why would I even open my mouth if I didn't think I was right? I mean, it's just like, yeah, all I do is say what I think, because kind of all I do is think. So your conversation is more interesting. What are you guys whispering about over there? Oh, see, like the interesting stuff, like there was a girl that just gave me a hug as she left the bar. I don't have to be up here. I could have just been getting hugs from girls that were leaving the bar. That was the thing is like, are you guys Grateful Dead fans here? Yes? No? Yes? Am I going to upset you? Well, my friend said to me, like, the Grateful Dead are awesome, and I was like, I just don't see it. I want to hear Buddy Holly do a 3-minute version. I don't want to hear the Grateful Dead do like 80 minutes of Buddy Holly. He's like, and then he said, and this is the first, I was very sober, the first thing I did was LSD. He said, you can't understand the Grateful Dead unless you do LSD. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do LSD. If I got to like the Grateful Dead, I don't know if it's worth doing LSD, but I was into the Doors. This is like a replica of Jim Morrison's necklace. And I was like, all right, I'll try LSD, and maybe I'll understand the Grateful Dead. But actually what happened, it was a day at Northwestern called Armadillo Day, and there was a reggae band, and that music is not known for its variation in the first place, and it sounded like they were playing Stir It Up for like 40 hours. And then they conned me into going to a Grateful Dead show at Alpine Valley. But I gotta say that they live right. The first thing that happened was like a woman just took her top off right in front of me. I was like, all right, well, I guess that was a bonus. So I watched the Grateful Dead. I wasn't on acid that night, but it was enjoyable. Watching crazy people look like Charles Manson, like dancing around like this for 2 hours. And then my friend went to the show with like a knucklehead friend of his, and at least I got a ride home out of there quickly. My friend couldn't find his other friend. His other friend was on acid, and his other friend decided that it was a good deal to help out the concession stand people. Now, if you want to help out the concession stand people, as I said, I'm for people that do manual labor. I just don't want to do it. But it was not a good monetary decision for him because he was missing for 3 hours. My friend was looking for him, and he's like, hey man, I helped out the concession people and they gave me a Diet Coke. I'm like, that? Per hour, that does not really work out to a valuable use of your friend's time who was looking for you forever. So I wasn't convinced that the Grateful Dead on acid is a good idea. Maybe acid is a good idea. I just don't want to do it on the Grateful Dead. What's the last thing I want to say? Are we Browns fans here? Kind of. Yeah, they cut Bernie Kosar, and I drove across the state once to watch that team, but look it up. November 8th, 1993. They cut Bernie Kosar, and they shouldn't. It breaks my heart. Can't root for the team anymore. I like Baker Mayfield. He plays not to lose. Play to win, man. But they shouldn't have cut Bernie Kosar. Statue for Bernie Kosar, return number 19. Thank you, Ray.
One more time for Brad Lehman, everybody.